Tonight, we are bringing you something the mainstream media is desperately trying to suppress. Karoline Leavitt, the fearless voice of the Trump administration, just went nuclear on both left-wing judges and the Associated Press over their blatant distortion of reality. Well, the issue apparently is the Gulf of America. Now, you might be thinking, why does this matter? But what we've uncovered goes far beyond geography. This is about a coordinated effort by activist judges and the legacy media to undermine not just President Trump, but reality itself. The evidence we're about to show you exposes just how deep this deception goes. Now, are you ready to transform your skin and unlock a youthful glow? Well, a cutting-edge 2024 study has shown that collagen can have dramatically positive effects on skin health, and women who take a daily collagen drink report noticeably fewer wrinkles, firmer skin, and better hydration. But don't settle for just any collagen. Make sure it's one that's backed by real science. That's why I use this amazing multi-collagen formula. Visit healthwithgary.com now and get an incredible 51% off during our holiday promotion. That's healthwithgary.com. Your skin will thank you. Yeah, the holiday, of course, is Trump's inauguration. Yeah, we're going to be celebrating that for decades. Okay. So much to unpack in this segment. The White House press briefing room, where I will soon be, was hot today. And we have Karoline Leavitt just going off on the press. Let's listen.
Question.
Thank you, Caroline. Does Elon Musk have power of the presidency?
Absolutely not.
Right.
That's a ridiculous question.
I asked that question because, the Democrats have been hurling insults at Elon Musk, hurling attacks, calling him President Musk. Most recently, Jamie Raskin, the congressman, took it a step further, calling for Musk's impeachment, saying that he somehow usurped the power of the presidency. What's your response?
It's utterly ridiculous. Elon Musk addressed this in the Oval Office yesterday. The president addressed it as well. Elon Musk is serving at the pleasure of the president, just like everybody else on this team. He takes directives directly from the president of the United States. And I think some of the comments that you referred to are nothing more than a failed attempt from the media and from Democrats to try to sow division in this White House. We saw them do it in the first term. We're not going to let them do it in the second term. This is a unified team who is working at the pleasure of the president to do what's right for the American people.
Thank you, Caroline.
Oh, yeah, let's go, baby. Oh, remember that? Remember this? Sarah Rose posting this from DEI Clown, who couldn't answer one question to, I brought the receipts. Yeah, there's KJP in full clown regalia, and our new beloved press secretary bringing the receipts. Remember when KJP, she'd have to go through her notes? Oh, I got to go through my notes, no answers. We'll get back to you. And then you had circle back Psaki. Remember her? Raggedy Ann? Yeah, I'll circle back for you. I'll get back to you on that. Okay, we are witnessing a completely new era in the White House. Here is another clip. Benny Johnson posting just 6 hours ago. Karoline Leavitt sends direct message to Mitch McConnell for voting against Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah, Mitch McConnell, he was wheeled into Congress just the other day, dropped off with his wheelchair. It's time for these people to have term limits, and just resign, Mitch. Okay, just resign, and let's get somebody in there who can actually do the job. All right, your days are over. We remember when you got booed, when you went to your own town fair. Okay, anyway, sorry.
To stay tough and strong.
Not only Tulsi Gabbard, but also Keith Hegseth to be the defense secretary.
I think we're greatly disappointed in any Republican.
Now, the audio might be a little low. See if we can get that better for you.
Who chooses willfully to vote against the president's exceptionally qualified cabinet nominees and picks to lead his America First administration. Not a single Democrat swayed from voting against President Biden's nominees, and we know how many of them turned out. They turned out to be atrocious at their jobs, leaving America much worse than they were when they took the oath of office. And so I've said it repeatedly from this podium. I addressed it at the beginning of my remarks. We expect all Republicans to vote, to stay tough and strong, vote for President Trump's nominees so we can get to work and continue to work very hard to implement this president's agenda.
Yep. But I do appreciate when the Republicans vote against Trump, because it helps us really understand which side are they on? Which side are they on? Okay, I'm sorry. That was from a previous segment. Okay. Here she is. Karoline Leavitt, yet again, spot on. The Associated Press and the rest of the leftist legacy media refuse to accept reality when it doesn't fit their narrative. Listen.
Caitlin, he consults with the President of the United States. So we're very confident with the ethics and the guardrails that have been put in place here. Caitlin.
Thanks, Caroline. I have a few things for you, but on the commitment by President Trump, he said that he and President Putin agreed to visit each other's respective nations. Are there any preconditions that President Trump has that President Putin must do before he goes and meets with him, withdrawing some forces, withdrawing all forces, anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of. That doesn't mean they don't exist, but I was just talking with the President in our national security team. I wasn't made aware of any conditions, but if they exist, I'm happy to provide those.
And on the President himself, he styles himself as this master negotiator. He is now deploying these negotiations, saying that they start immediately. We did hear from the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, today saying that NATO membership is not realistic for Ukraine and neither is returning to pre-2014 borders. Aren't they giving away bargaining chips before these negotiations have even started?
Again, I haven't talked to the President about Ukraine's NATO membership, and he appointed several individuals to negotiate on his behalf. He's directly involved in these negotiations as well, and I'm sure if you ask him that question in the near future when you're able to, he'll give you an answer. I just don't want to get ahead of him on it.
And final thing for you, which White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office and the diplomatic reception room last night?
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus. Many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office. And you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
But isn't it retaliatory in nature is the argument, because the reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent?
You see, she said there, in line with their standards. You see, they're not falling in line with America's new standards. That's the problem here. Caitlin Collins from CNN, continuing to drive the point home.
This White House will retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use. And how does that align with
that you guys believe, the language you believe? Listen to the verbiage that she's using. The language you believe. No, it's the language we ordered. It's the language that has now been made statutory. Okay? Google Maps is now calling it the Gulf of America. All right? AP, Apple, Caitlin Collins, just get on board or get out of the way.
the First Amendment commitment that you were just talking about?
I was very upfront in my briefing on
she
day
calls it a First Amendment commitment because AP refuses to acknowledge the president's, his new renaming. First Amendment.
That if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation in the geographical identification name server. And Apple has recognized that. Google has recognized
Apple's
that.
on
Pretty
board
much
now?
every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America. And it's very important to this administration that we get that right, not just for people here at home, but also for the rest of the world. Sure.
Thank you, Karoline Leavitt, for making that point and making Caitlin Collins look like the fool she is. The fake mainstream media, MAGA voice, 6 hours ago, the fake mainstream media has no idea how to handle her. There she is, our new press secretary. Okay, this is a shorter version of the same clip. When lies are pushed, we hold them accountable. The body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. That is a fact. And here we have more rapid response. 47, just 7 hours ago. Press secretary says it speaks to President Trump's deal-making ability, the safe release of one American and two individuals.
And two individuals.
Tell us any more about the next hostage releases? I understand that
Yeah.
Americans coming out today.
Sure, I'm glad you asked. It speaks to President Trump's deal-making ability, and we can confirm the safe release of one American and two individuals from Belarus, one of whom worked for Radio Liberty. Out of respect for the privacy of these individuals, their request, we have no further details to announce on their identities, but we can confirm that one American was released today, and it's a remarkable victory on the heels of Mark Fogel returning to America last night.
Yep, just more wins every single day, and we're happy to be here for it. Okay, we also have more. We have President Trump continuing to deliver on the promises that he is making to the American people.
Polling that was released this week, the president has continued to deliver on his promises to the American people. According to new polling that was released at the beginning of this week by CBS News.
I love this. She brings up CBS News. Yeah, CBS News' own polling confirmed this. So eat it.
An overwhelming 70% of Americans said that President Trump is following through on what he pledged to do during his historic campaign. The poll also revealed that Americans see President Trump as a tough, energetic, focused, and effective leader fighting hard to improve their lives and our country. This week,
and CBS News confirming it. We also have this. She's going on about the illegal alien criminals who are being arrested.
90 Venezuelan illegal alien criminals continue to be arrested and sent home as part of the ongoing mass deportation effort of the Trump administration. Just this week, 2 planes with 190 Venezuelan illegal aliens arrived in the Venezuelan capital from Fort Bliss, Texas. Here are some of the criminal illegal aliens who were arrested in the country this past week. ICE Atlanta arrested a citizen of Nigeria who had been convicted of money laundering. ICE San Antonio arrested a citizen of Mexico who had been convicted of assault. ICE Denver arrested a citizen of Mexico who had been convicted of aggravated assault. And ICE Houston arrested a citizen of Mexico who had been convicted of aggravated assault.
Yep, keep them coming. Keep shipping them out. Gitmo has some empty beds. Oh, boy. Let's keep going, baby. It was a great press conference today. In fact, I was literally just taking off in my jet with my wife, United Airlines. It was like delayed 2 hours. The press conference was just beginning. But it was amazing to watch all the behind the scenes stuff that was happening from the pool feed. Here we have the reciprocal tariffs that people are starting to freak out about. It's an old law. President Trump's dusting off the books and saying, okay, well, we got the law. Let's execute it, right? Let's go.
Which we all learned. I do believe it will come before the Prime Minister's visit tomorrow, and I will let the President discuss the details on the reciprocal tariff front. But this is something he believes strongly in, and it's very simple logic as to why the President wants to impose reciprocal tariffs. It's the golden rule, which we all learned when we were growing up in school. Treat others the way you want to be treated. And far too many nations around this world have been ripping off the United States of America for far too long. And that's why the president believes this will be a great policy that will benefit American workers and improve our national security.
Yep, the party's over. There's a new sheriff in town, and tariffs are the law of the day. Oh, it keeps going. Here's Real America's Voice discovering $2.7 trillion. They're reporting this. $2.7 trillion in improper payments in Medicare and Medicaid overseas. Now, if you recall, Elon Musk pledged to cut $2 trillion from the government waste. I mean, it looks like he found 2.7 just in Medicare and Medicaid alone. All right, we're not even talking about the Department of Education, USAID, everything that's been found in those. All right. We're just going one by one by one, and they're just cutting all of this fat and waste off the government, and it's going to make everyone's lives so much easier. The government's going to work so much smoother. But let's listen to the moment in the press room today.
So where's the Brian?
Yes, I want to go back to DOGE just for a second.
The DOGE,
the subcommittee,
where are the DOGE agents? I think I see them in the Treasury right now. They got their laptops open. I can see them.
headed by Chairman Marjorie Taylor Greene, her and her staff discovered $2.7 trillion in improper payments to Medicare, Medicaid, overseas, to people who should not have gotten it. Some of this room might have missed that press conference. Can you elaborate on what the president is thinking at this point?
Well, again, that's another example. There's a very long list of the fraud, waste, and abuse that DOGE is identifying on a daily basis. Elon Musk also talked about yesterday about Social Security payments that are going out the door for people who are no longer with us. Unfortunately, I would say that is certainly fraud. There's also a lot of contracts that
to point out what she's saying, they're no longer with us. Elon Musk yesterday in the Oval Office pointed out that people who are 150 years old are still getting Social Security payments. Who's cashing those checks and for how long? My goodness.
identified that, just as a hypothetical example, are $1 million, but only 500,000 went out the door. So where's the rest of that cash? And so that's the thing. Those are the things that DOGE is working on every single day. And I would just remind everybody in this room, this is what President Trump campaigned on doing. He's delivering on a promise that 77 million people elected him to do. Brian.
Yep, he is just all. I mean, again, I say this time and time again. This should really come as no surprise to any of these detractors, because President Trump, Elon Musk, every single freaking MAGA rally they would hold, they're like, we're going to cut $2 trillion and DOGE is going to go in and find it all. And that's what our promise is to the American people. And now they're singing, outside the Department of Education, which side are you on? I mean, come on, really? Okay. Okay, this is when she goes scorched earth on the liberal judges, the radical leftist judges, abusing their power to block Trump.
Acting as judicial. But in fact, the real constitutional crisis is taking place within our judicial branch, where district court judges in liberal districts across the country are abusing their power to unilaterally block President Trump's basic executive authority. We believe these judges are acting as judicial activists rather than honest arbiters of the law. And they have issued at least 12 injunctions against this administration in the past 14 days, often without citing any evidence or grounds for their lawsuits. This is part of a larger concerted effort by Democrat activists and nothing more than the continuation of the weaponization of justice against President Trump. Quick news flash to these liberal judges who are supporting their obstructionist efforts: 77 million Americans voted to elect this president. And each injunction is an abuse of the rule of law and an attempt to thwart the will of the people.
But the will of the people will not be thwarted. President Trump promised Mark's mother that when he returned to the White House, he would bring her son home. This is a moment, I actually, I want to go to the clip that I cut for my, on my profile. I literally cut this while I was in flight. And this is, these are the three words you would have heard uttered from that podium during the last administration. I want you to listen carefully. What are those words?
Very worried. This event shows a good faith effort from Russia, and it's a sign, as I just said, that we are moving in the right direction to end this brutal war. Malphine Fogel, Mark's 95-year-old mother, was understandably very worried that she would never see her son again after his arrest in 2021. Mrs. Fogel was actually slated to join President Trump on stage at the July 13th Butler, Pennsylvania rally to speak out for Mark. And then the infamous assassination attempt against President Trump took place. But that day, before the rally, President Trump promised Mark's mother that when he returned to the White House, he would bring her son home. God saved President Trump's life on that day in Butler, Pennsylvania, and now Mark Fogel is back home safely with his family as a result. God is good.
God is good. Could you ever imagine Karine Jean-Pierre saying God is good? No, they didn't have the courage. They didn't have it because they're just, deceivers operating inside the White House. But now we have a new a new sheriff in town, and President Trump is there, and God is being acknowledged once again in the White House. It's not a freak show, as we saw during the Biden administration. It is completely over. Looks like we have Chris Pavlovski, the CEO of Rumble, walking into the White House briefing room and sat in the new media chair. That happened 7 hours ago. Congratulations, Chris Pavlovski of Rumble. And here, okay, it looks like he asked a question. Let's listen.
Have Chris Pavlovski, so here in our new media seat today, we have Chris Pavlovski, an entrepreneur who has a strong passion for protecting freedom of speech. Chris started the video sharing platform Rumble in 2013 with a mission of protecting a free and open internet from censorship by big tech and governments around the globe. The platform has always been a place for independent creators to share their authentic opinions, and they have always included President Trump, in contrast to the way he was censored by other platforms in years past. Since its founding, Rumble has grown exponentially, recently marking 67 million monthly active users. It's a lot of users. If you're watching right now and interested in sitting in this seat, you can apply whitehouse.gov/new media. With that, I will take your questions. And Chris, why don't you kick us off on this very busy news day?
Karoline, thank you very much to you and President Trump. It's an honor to be sitting here in the new media seat for the White House press briefing and to be able to demonstrate why freedom of expression is so important. Rumble was the victim of censorship at the hands of multiple foreign governments. It's clear there are still many countries who oppose free speech and even target American companies. Can you describe what the administration will do to protect U.S. interests and values worldwide?
Sure. Well, thanks for the very important question. And I think that free speech and ending censorship, both here at home and also abroad, is an important part of President Trump's agenda. I think first, President Trump has led by example on this front as the leader of the free world, the president of the United States, with his show of access and transparency on a daily basis. The president takes questions from all of you almost every single day and really reveals what he's thinking and feeling. And I think that serves as a great example to the rest of the world. As for tangible actions that the president has signed, he did sign an executive order, I believe on day one, certainly within the first week of this administration, to restore free speech and stop government-sponsored censorship here at home. And the EO made it very clear that federal employees are not allowed to engage in any activity that would infringe upon the American people's right of free expression. So I think the president has led quite strongly on this. And so here in our new media seat today,
I'm just like thinking like, man, that could be me. And, you got one shot, kid. What's the question? What will you ask? And I could think of a million questions. What is the one question? What is the one question that should be asked in that press room? And I was actually talking to somebody about it. And they said, and I thought about it too. I said, well, why don't we just ask our viewers? We got thousands and thousands of people, millions of people who watch this channel every day. So, what if we just say, hey, drop a comment. Maybe we do a poll. Maybe we put it on the community tab or something. And we say, what question would you like to be asked in the press room? And then you can just throw it out there. And then when I'm in that press room, I'll just open up my book and I'll say, John from Ohio wants to know this. There's and think about, that John from Ohio, his voice is being lifted and brought right to the center of power. That's what this is all about, folks. Oh, man, think about it. These are the days we're living in. No more clowning around, right? We have real people being represented in the White House. Let's see, we have this clip here from talking about many outlets in this room have been fear-mongering. That's the problem with the mainstream press, is they just fear-monger all day long. And that's why it's so important that press seat be given to people who are going to ask real questions that actually matter and not try to stoke fear and antagonize the administration. Let's listen.
their power to. Before I take questions, I would like to address an extremely dishonest narrative that we've seen emerging over the past few days.
Uh-oh.
Many outlets in this room have been fear-mongering the American people into believing there is a constitutional crisis taking place here at the White House. I've been hearing those words a lot lately. But in fact, the real constitutional crisis is taking place within our judicial branch, where district court judges in liberal districts across the country are abusing their power to unilaterally block President Trump's basic executive authority. We believe these judges are acting as judicial activists rather than honest arbiters of the law. And they have issued at least 12 injunctions against this administration in the past 14 days, often without citing any evidence or grounds for their lawsuits. This is part of a larger concerted effort by Democrat activists and nothing more than the continuation of the weaponization of justice against President Trump. Quick news flash to these liberal judges who are supporting their obstructionist efforts: 77 million Americans voted to elect this president. And each injunction is an abuse of the rule of law and an attempt to thwart the will of the people. As the president clearly stated in the Oval Office yesterday, we will comply with the law in the courts, but we will also continue to seek every legal remedy to ultimately overturn these radical injunctions and ensure President Trump's policies can be enacted.
And that's exactly what's happening. They are being overruled because President Trump has the executive authority to oversee the execution of the law to make sure it's being faithfully executed in his branch. So when Congress passes the law, it's the executive branch that must fulfill it. And then you have all these different bureaucracies that pop up. So President Trump, it's his job to make sure the laws are faithfully executed. And that's all he's doing. And people are freaking out over it. They're filing lawsuit after lawsuit. But you know what? It is not going to fly. Okay, we have, let's take a look real quick here. This is President Trump promising, okay, here, let's go to this one.
JJ.
On DOGE and the fraud claims, Elon Musk in the Oval yesterday gave us some information on that. We're just wondering if there's some proof, evidence. Is the White House willing to share evidence of those fraud claims, or can Elon Musk come to the briefing room and share material evidence of what he's talking about?
Sure, I would love for you.
Okay, so they're talking about DOGE and fraud claims that Elon Musk has brought forth.
Elon Musk to come to the briefing room. That's why we had him go to the Oval Office yesterday, where I think he provided great answers. He was speaking in layman's terms, speaking common sense to all of you in the media, but also to Americans at home. But I would say especially to all of you in the media, because I think it's a real fallacy that there's this alleged lack of transparency when it comes to DOGE. President Trump and Elon Musk have been incredibly transparent on what DOGE is doing. There is an X account with the DOGE handle. They are tweeting out what they are doing on a daily basis. They have a website where they are posting the receipts of the contracts that they are reviewing and the payments that they have stopped from going out the door. The secretaries of our departments have stopped from going out the door. And I would also say that before it was Elon Musk making our government efficient and accountable, it was some unnamed bureaucrat that none of you knew. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. He's also now one of the most highly scrutinized men in the world alongside President Trump because of what he's doing and the access that he is allowing. So there's great transparency. As for the actual receipts, we are happy to provide them. And I actually brought some today because all of you know I love to bring the receipts. We have contracts upon contracts that we can send and provide this information to you. Let me be very clear. We are not trying to hide anything. We have been incredibly transparent and we will continue to be. These are screenshots of contracts that DOGE found across our government. This is a DEI contract, $36,000 for U.S. citizenship and immigration services. That is against the president's policies and his America First agenda. This is a $3.4 million contract, a Council for Inclusive Innovation at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Department of Commerce, another DEI contract that DOGE identified. I can continue to go through these. Oh, I love this one, $57,000 for climate change in Sri Lanka. What is this doing to continue the interests of the American people? Absolutely nothing. These are the line items across the federal government that DOGE is identifying daily. They're moving very fast. There's a lot of paper that we can show you, but we're happy to do it. This administration has been more than transparent about what DOGE is doing. And here's one of their tweets that they posted about the mine. I believe this is in Pennsylvania, where the federal employee retirement system is being processed. Did anybody know this was even happening in our country before Elon Musk talked about it in the Oval Office yesterday? A lot of Americans didn't. So we are providing transparency and accessibility on a daily basis when it comes to DOGE. And I also have a DOGE daily report, if anybody would like it, on all of the things that they are identifying and finding. We're happy to provide this information too. We're talking about it every single day. Jason.
Oh, and you can bet that I'll be seeking out that report daily. Now, the implications of what we've seen are staggering. Karoline Leavitt didn't just correct the record, she exposed a systematic campaign of disinformation by the mainstream media and activist judges. When 70% of Americans confirm that President Trump is following through on his promises, what do these institutions do? They double down on their lies. They claim there's a constitutional crisis while ignoring the real crisis, their own credibility. And Leavitt's stand against these falsehoods isn't just about defending truth, it's about preserving our very ability to distinguish fact from fiction. So here's what I want you to answer in the comments. If the mainstream media can't even acknowledge basic facts about the Gulf of America, what other truths are they hiding from the American people? Rock your patriot pride with our exclusive Next News gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. It's linked down below.